Perch Palm Diaries. It's been a long time since I've uploaded to this channel. I'm just gonna get straight into the video. If you're new here, my name's Rory and I design and produce fishing lures from my home and garage. During the winter, one of my favorite things to do is target big redfin at Lake Wendouree. Wendouree has a reputation as a really tough fishery, but last year those perch proved even harder to fool than usual. And I discovered that the only food source in any of their stomachs was some 7 to 10 centimeter flathead gudgeon. I had the most success with my 80mm pintail minnow on a drop shot, but they were still very reluctant to bite. So I decided that I wanted to create a more realistic gudgeon imitation just to see if it would make any difference at all. I also decided that I wanted to film the process to show people how I go about making soft baits from scratch. But in my usual fashion, I procrastinated really hard on starting a new project and I totally missed the 2024 bite window. I started actually building the bait in around March of 2025, hoping that it would be ready before the winter season started. But when the time finally came, those gudgeon feeders that I'd been taking advantage of for the last few years just never eventuated. We had a really long dry summer and a super late start to winter, and that knocked the fish around a bit. I did a couple of trips and they just weren't staged up the same way, and I don't think that the bait fish were actually around. I tried to not let it dampen my spirits, but I felt really disappointed that my whole project and the idea behind it was just kind of a big failure. But I really didn't want to let all my hard work go to waste, so I spent a while looking around for another opportunity, and I think I managed to find something that redeemed the project in a way. It may not have been the results that I was looking for with this project, but at least it wasn't a complete waste of time, and I still think it's worth a watch if you're interested. I'm actually going to talk about the process of making the baits now, and we'll get to the fishing a little bit later. So as you can see, I've got the basic shape down. So now I'm just making small adjustments. It's a lot of experimentation, a lot of looking at it from different angles, different colors, and just starting to sort of mold it and shift it in different ways to see what I really like and what I don't. At this point, I was playing around a lot with the angle of the head to allow room for the gate and the sprue to be able to feed plastic into the body. Over the years of designing plastics, there's one thing you learn, and it's that room around the gate is super important. I really didn't want to lose facial detail, so I created this really sort of sharp, angular jawline, which ended up working really well, I think. I then decided to experiment with a split in the middle of the body, hoping that it would provide a little bit more flexibility and more action. It didn't end up working that well in the actual bait itself, and there was enough action just from the tail alone. So I think in the next iteration of this design, I'll probably remove that and go back to the straight body. And here you can see I've got the gate in place. It's not fully sculpted in yet, but it's just there for a reference so I can keep sculpting the face around it and make sure that it fits well. Building in the sprue, and here's where I fully had a change of thought and decided to angle the pectoral fins out at a 90 degree to provide a little bit more vibration and hopefully a slower fall. I'd never really made a bait with fins out this wide before, and molding fins can be quite difficult. It was a good learning experience. I've got some ideas for how I'll do it better next time. Getting pretty close to the finished product now. Just a few final details around the face and the mouth, smoothing out a few of those lines. Moving stuff around too much creates a few uneven ridges, so I'm just trying to smooth some of that out on top of the head there. Really trying to crisp up those lines around the gills, but it's quite hard to get them the right shape. Most people tend to sculpt like this with a stylus, but I've been sculpting with a mouse for years. It's never as accurate. And I do actually have a stylus, I just don't know why I do things the hard way sometimes. Speaking of doing things the hard way, and one of the reasons why it's taken me so long to get this video finished is the music is actually all written and recorded by me, and this song that's playing right now is quite an old one that I decided to re-record right in the middle of creating this video, and then I got all stuck in making music and completely lost track. Anyway, back to the bait. I've exported it from my sculpting software and I've moved it into the slicer, getting it ready for 3D printing. You can see here how it builds out the supports and holds it against the bed while it's printing. Time to go out to the shed and get the printing started. Great. Brilliant. First thing I do. Awesome. Dropped it. Broke it. Perfect. Take two. So as you saw, the first thing I did when I pulled the print off the printer is drop it on the concrete and smash it into two pieces. I took it inside, glued it back together, and then I spent the next probably 10 hours sanding it, dremeling it, getting it nice and smooth. I actually also clear coated it, but I forgot to film that part. And now it's time to start sculpting the mold. There's a few different ways you can do this, and in this day and age, most people opt to either 3D print the mold itself or 3D print the master inside a fixed box where they can pour the silicone directly into it. But for me, this is the way that I've first started and have always made my molds. And I figured it would be an authentic way to show my process. And I think it will also help people who don't have a 3D printer to understand how they might be able to adopt this with hand carved masters. It took me years of trial and error to get to a point where I was actually making molds that somewhat worked. The molds I started with in the beginning were so shonky. The quality that came out of them just wasn't up to scratch. There was always bubbles and flashing that I had to clean up. But eventually I started to figure out a few tricks that's helped me get better quality baits. They're still not perfect, but for handmade, I'm pretty happy with how they come out. In this part of the process, I'm basically cleaning up the first half of the mold and prepping it for the master to go back in and the second half of the mold to be poured on top. Silicon naturally sticks to itself, so it needs to be really well prepared, and you need to really cover every corner of the mold with mold release, including the cavity where the bait sits, because silicon naturally is going to slide in underneath there, and the mold release allows you to peel the skin of silicon out quite easily. The final steps to finish the mold are just to use a nice sharp crafting knife and clean up the edges, get rid of a lot of the extra silicon that sits around them, make sure they have a nice flat surface, and make sure it's all nice and clean and smooth, and she should be ready to go. The most nerve-wracking part of this whole thing is the first time you open that mold when you've shot it, just to see if the mold's actually worked at all. It's so heartbreaking when you notice there's a major issue, but this time, which very rarely happens, it came out perfect the first shot. Now, I actually did film the part where I dye the bait. For some reason, the footage went missing, so I'm skipping straight forward to gluing the eyes on. The finished bait actually came out way better than I had imagined. When you're designing the bait and you see it on screen as a rigid model, it's really hard to imagine what it's going to look like as a finished product. But as soon as you get that physical object in your hand and it moves so naturally and it's got eyes and color, it really comes to life. Well, there you go. That's my entire soft bait making process. It's the same process that I've used ever since I first started making soft plastics, probably about 10 years ago. I've never shown that before, so this has been a pretty big project for me. I'm really happy with the way the gudgeon came out. It's been something that I've wanted to do for a long time, so it's... My intention with the design was never to create something that produced a huge amount of action, but more so a perfect gudgeon profile in the water. I really feel like this one hit the mark. It's got all of those big flared fins and that perfect glide down to the bottom, just like a real gudgeon. Well, as I said earlier in the video, things this year didn't quite work out the way I planned. Those big fish that I was targeting last year who were heavily feeding on gudgeon just didn't eventuate. So here's a little bit of footage from what I did manage to scrape together fishing these gudgeon baits.
Yep, got one. There we go.
Yep, there it is. That's a chunky fish. That little gudgeon. Real nice. That was pretty cool just to see the line scream off in the shallows there on that gudgeon. Nice little chunky perch. Let's see if we can get another one.
Yep, there we go. Oh, that was huge.
Why did that not stick? God, that sucks. And the battery's about to go flat and I'm having a heart attack. And he's definitely not coming back. Oh, that's
Oh, got it. Could be the same fish or another one. It's a good fish either way. Oh yeah, it's a good fish. Hey. There we go. Oh, there we go.
I don't know if that's the same fish, but it's a nice one. I'll take it. Gudgeon in its gob. Nice fat fish. At least this is paid off. I mean, the whole idea for the gudgeon that I originally worked on isn't happening this year, so it's been good to actually give it a proper test. Send it on its way, see if we can get one more before it ends, but I don't have enough battery to keep filming. I'm happy with that fish. That is, can't complain with that one. It's a nice chunky perch. Catch you, mate. Yes. Yeah, well, GoPro went flat, but I just watched this thing, and if I had the camera on, we would have definitely seen it come up and smoke that at my feet off the surface. I'm gonna get it out and see if I can get a picture of this one. It's a really nice fish, well over 40. Oh, it's getting dark. Don't know if you can see it that well, but that's every bit of well over 40. So that's a 42, 43, maybe even 44 on that gudgeon. Just to sort of make matters worse, the GoPro went flat about 30 seconds before it ate, but it's a beautiful fish. I don't care. Well, that's her there. I'm sitting on the ground because I didn't bring a tripod either. Always well prepared. Gonna get her back. She probably need a bit of a swim. It's a nice fish. Off nicely. Well, I might get one more in, but that feels good. Well, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Share your thoughts in the comments if you feel like it. And just as a little bonus, I went out a couple of days after that first session and caught a few more fish. Nothing huge, but here's a little bit of bonus footage. Another small guy for the gudgeon. Still biting, so I'm gonna keep fishing until it's completely dark at least. Maybe get another tank. Another one. They're still biting. This one's a little worse for wear. Got a bit of a tear in the face, but a little bit of Mr. Cement. See how we go. Good as new. It's the beauty of the cement. It doesn't get all hard and crusty like super glue. Just welds the plastic back together, so we can catch a few more fish on this one. This little guy was pretty up after yesterday, but I gave him a patch up with some cement and he's good as new, ready to go catch some more.
Bad one. Not huge, but take it.
Very cool. Chunky little fella. It's pretty much dark now. It's been a bit quieter, but got this one to finish off the session. Nice chunky little fella on the gudgeon. For these last few sessions that I've been fishing with the gudgeon, it's been on a drop shot rig. This is the bait that I've been using the whole time. It's been torn a few times, but I've been patching it with plastic cement, and now I've rigged it on a little strolling rig with a internal nail weight on a jig hook.
Oh, that's a tank. He jumped out of the water. Cool. It's a good fish. Nice. Scoffed that.
Lovely fat fish. Gudgeon scoffed on that little strolling rig. Beautiful fish. Look at the colours on that. Perfect condition.
Oh, this one feels pretty big. Yeah, it's a tank. It's not huge, but it's a good fish. Smoked it. Jesus.
Another nice one. Not huge, just chunky. Smoke that gudgeon. After dark, moved spots, trying a different little edge this time. First cast. Gudgeon again. It's getting pretty chewed up now. I think this will be its final session before it goes back into the recycling bin.